Welcome, everybody. I think everyone's probably should be muted. I see people waving already. Welcome to our American Cancer Society's virtual Toast to Hope here on the Santa Barbara and Ventura Coast, presented by our friends at Agilent Technologies. My name is Brian Kerner, and today I'm joined with Dr. Joseph Campanelli, cancer researcher at UC Santa Barbara, and this year's co-chair of the Toast to Hope event.
Hi, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today on our virtual Toast to Hope. We are so excited to invite you into our homes this year and that you invited us into yours. A few housekeeping items as we get started. We ask that everyone please remain muted. So go ahead and turn your microphone off or hit the little mute button down at the lower left-hand side of your Zoom screen and avoid any background noise.
And we also encourage you to change your view to speaker view, which can be found in the top right corner of your screen. We also be using the chat feature to give you updates, donations on auction items and things like that. So please pay attention to your chats on the bottom and the middle. And you can use that for all the updates. In addition, feel free to use the reaction buttons, the claps and all that. We really appreciate it. High fives, send a love and high fives to our speakers.
Lastly, we want to encourage you to visit our website at toasttohope.com. There you will find the links to our auction page, view all of our amazing silent auction items, some of which we will be featuring to you live, the things that I personally really want to buy. So I don't know why I'm showing them to you, but I think they're the best. If you have not done so yet, please take a moment and register now on our bidding site. So again, if you go to toasttohope.com, click on the auction site, and there just to the right, you'll see start bidding or get started and register and then start bidding on our auctions. We have many great auction items this year, including what I think is a true treasure, 2-night stay here at the local Bacara Resort. We have donated by Claudia Lash, the Santa Barbara Holiday Lights Trolley Tour, which is sold out the day that it comes available. So you can go ahead and bid your own private trolley car. And lastly, two other things that I think are pretty fabulous are either a condo or a house, whichever size group you decide to bring to Steamboat, Colorado. So you can rent your own, or you have the chance to bid on auction items where you can get either a house or a condo and for your next ski vacation.
And the bidding is easy, really easy. So if you want the steamboat vacation or the trolley, just simply go to toasttohope.com, click on the link on the page, and it'll take you right to the bidding on you'll see all the items listed there for you. You can click on the get started button. That's where we get you started. And that's the best way to get to the page is toasttohope.com, and you can just press the button and get right to the bidding. And remember, the bidding doesn't close until 5 o'clock, so you have plenty of time to get your Steamboat Colorado vacation for your friends, in-laws, or your frenemies. I also want to mention that we're going to be sharing the hashtag Toast to Hope throughout this event. And for those that may not remember or know what hashtags are, it's the pound sign. Like my dad has no idea what a hashtag is. So it's that thing when you call the bank, it's probably going to say, please press hashtag for customer service. So we do have a lot of wonderful items here today. We do have one here we want to show you, for example. We're bringing
this was donated by our friends at Lash Construction, Claudia Lash. This is by far my favorite basket.
And it's got bottles of wine. It's got some amazing Italian items in here, some olives. Not sure what this one is. Oh, tomato sauce. So you got the whole fixings for a beautiful Italian meal.
Italian meal. So we're calling this one the Italian. So this is probably the best basket in my opinion.
And you can bring it with you to Steamboat, so you can get both.
All right. Then lastly, as we get started today, we will soon be joined by Brian and Peggy Dean, who will help lead us on what we think is a unique experience for y'all today. This is a virtual wine tasting experience. Brian and Peggy are representatives of the Boise Collection. And so in today's theme, we will be toasting to hope. So if you've not done so yet, get your glasses ready. And we're going to start by actually toasting. So open that sparkling rosé. Don't drink it just yet, but have it ready and waiting, so that when we cut to Brian and Peggy, they will help lead us on our virtual Toast to Hope. Now, the American Cancer Society's mission to envision the world without cancer has been a challenge over the last 18 months. In fact, all of our lives have been a challenge over the last 18 months. Today, we are helping to change that. You are helping to change that by being and joining us today in our Toast to Hope. So we want to thank you. This afternoon, we are delighted that you decided to take a moment and celebrate the lives of loved ones in remission and remember those that we have lost. So sit back, get ready to raise a glass, not yet, but get ready, to cancer research, cancer support services, and our Toast to Hope. As we begin today's festivities, here are a few words of welcome from ACS CEO, Dr. Knudsen.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Karen Knudsen, CEO of the American Cancer Society and the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. I want to thank you for your commitment to ACS and for standing by us as we navigated the unique uncertainties of the last year. As you well know, the pandemic created even greater challenges and stress for cancer patients and their caregivers. It's because of your ongoing dedication that we've been able to keep funding research and providing life-saving programs and support to those who most need it. Don't ever underestimate the power your donations and gifts have on the course of cancer care and discovery. While each of you are critical to ACS's impact on cancer, there are a few people whose commitment went above and beyond. I'd like to give an extra special shout out to the volunteers, sponsors, and to all those who gave their time to bring this wonderful gathering to the community. Thank you and enjoy the event.
Thank you, Dr. Knudsen. Appreciate your words. And we have so many thanks to give today for all the people, as well as you out there that are supporting us. But a huge thanks to our incredible partners and their continued support, and that's Agilent Technologies. They've been a significant supporter for years. They've generously given over $200,000 to support ACS throughout the years. They've also involved in the Carpinteria Relay for Life. And we want to thank them for their continued support over the years, especially during these very challenging times. These, last 18 months is their second virtual event, and they've just been an incredible backbone of support for us. So thank you, Agilent, for your continued support of our mission. And we couldn't do this on the Central Coast without your help. Thank you.
We would like to also acknowledge the support of our local community partners, Community West Bank and Lash Construction, and Xperia Creative, who have all made this event possible today. Lastly, I would personally like to thank the entire organizing committee who helped put this on. We don't do it alone. There's a big committee of people who helped put this together, and we hope you enjoy.
As we move on through the program here, I just want to say that I've personally been touched for cancer, and I've had cancer myself. And I know that when we look at around us, to our friends and our family, it's really hard to get away from the fact that you do not know someone or personally you've been touched by cancer. It is very unfortunate that we have to experience this, but we know that we've all been affected one way or another. Together, we're here to continue the support for you and your loved ones, as well as continue the research and to treat ourselves to the opportunity here to cure cancer. Our hope is to have one day a cancer-free world. I am honored to be hosting today with alongside of one of our co-chairs of the Toast to Hope event and a former ACS researcher, Dr. Joe Campanelli, who works at UC Santa Barbara along with me. So I get the pleasure to see him on campus doing his research. Joining Joe this year is Elaine Christ, who is the Director of Quality Control at Agilent Technologies in Carpinteria. Our mission to save lives, celebrate lives, and to lead the fight for a world without cancer would not be possible without the support of our amazing sponsors. So now let's sit back, relax, get comfortable as we hear a few words from our presenting sponsor and friends at Agilent Technologies. Here's a short message from Elaine and the co-chair.
Hello, I'm Elaine Christ, Director of Quality Control and Strategic Projects at Agilent Technologies. I'm happy to represent Agilent today as co-chair of this event with Joe. I want to give a special shout out to Agilent for being today's presenting sponsors, and to also thank them for the decades of support of the American Cancer Society. I'd also like to take this moment to give a special thanks to all of you who have joined us in this virtual space today. I wish we could all be together, but we appreciate everyone practicing safe social distancing and hope you enjoy this unique event. While fundraising events such as this at the American Cancer Society have changed in format, our mission to save lives has not changed. Cancer patients need us now more than ever. COVID-19 has turned life upside down for all of us, and especially for patients undergoing cancer treatment. American Cancer Society is working to keep our communities connected virtually, supporting cancer patients and cancer research. Cancer hasn't stopped, and neither will we. We want to thank you for your support in joining us today in our fight against cancer. I hope everyone enjoys the afternoon. Please take photos of your gathering and post them to our Facebook page, Toast to Hope, with the hashtag Toast to Hope. Again, thanks and enjoy the program.
Thank you, Elaine. So all of us have been touched by cancer. I think it's safe to say that we all have been somewhat touched by cancer. We either know somebody or have been diagnosed ourselves. So whether it's a friend, a loved one, or personally, the American Cancer Society has made its mission to envision a world without cancer and to help all of us. And although we have made progress toward that goal over the ACS's 107 years, we still have a lot to do. And one thing that the ACS is very big on is celebrating each little success. And we here want to celebrate how far we have come. And we want to do that by taking and toasting to those success stories and take a moment to remember those that we have lost. We would like to make a toast of hope. So please join us as we welcome Brian and Peggy Dean from the Boise Collection, who will help us celebrate today and lead our toast as we kick off our wine tasting this afternoon.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. It is such a pleasure to be here. I want to ask everyone with us today if we could do one little thing first. If you could go up, I want to change the view in your upper right-hand corner to gallery, because I want us all to be together. I would like us all we could see each other. We can kind of be in unison now as I prepare this toast. And it's just an honor that Joe asked me to do this. You know, Peggy and I are really excited to be here. You know, by now I hope you've poured yourself a glass of LVE sparkling rosé wine for this toast. And Peggy and I are really blessed to be a partner of ACS Central Coast. We've conducted, you know, several wine tastings for different charities over the years to raise funds and awareness. And, you know, the harsh reality is, Joe said it perfectly. Each and every one of us here is impacted by cancer. And let's face it, one way or another, we have either a family member who's died, maybe a close friend, maybe a colleague at work you were fond of, maybe a patient. You know, I know we have some caregivers here today. I want you to just take a moment and picture that person's face that you may have known who's died from cancer. Just imagine, you know, how their life could have been saved with a new treatment. Imagine what they could have achieved, you know, with the new breakthrough research. Today, we're remembering those we've lost, but at the same time, we're going to envision a future where we can cultivate even greater treatments and ultimately an outright cure for cancer. You know, our ingenuity and the human spirit have created so many amazing things in this world, from airplanes and architecture to microchips and the internet. So of course, we can create a cure for cancer. We must. Everyone here today is supporting that effort, and we thank you. So let's raise a glass to all your hard work, to all of our support. Let's all make a heartfelt toast to hope. Thank you. And if you'd please now go back to speaker view. All righty.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for that lovely toast. So for the sparkling wine we're enjoying right now, the LVE stands for Legend Vineyard Exclusive. I'll get more into what that means in a moment, but really, don't you all see the word love there? And it's the kind of love and passion and dedication we pour into a cause we believe in, like the one we're sporting today for American Cancer Society Central Coast. So that's why we chose it for this Toast to Hope. And of course, the pink color also is reminiscent of October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but also it's just a symbol of love and hope. All right, so we're going to start sharing our screen so we can do a little wine tasting and education. If you have questions or comments along the way about the wines, please chat them in because we'll take breaks after each wine and I can address them. All right.
Okie dokie. Take it away, Peggy.
All right, so as I mentioned, Legend Vineyard Exclusive is the brand of this wine, and that is right. It is singer John Legend. He has a partnership with the gentleman in the picture. There is Jean-Charles Boisset, who's the proprietor of the Boise Collection. And we all know him as a musician, a soulful musician, but he also has a great passion for wine, and that's why he created a line of wines. They're rich, they're sulfur, they're harmonious. There's a Chardonnay, a red blend, a still rosé, the sparkling rosé we're drinking, and also a Cabernet. And it's in a collaboration with Raymond Vineyards. Okay, so a little bit about sparkling wine. So all wines do sparkle, even just briefly. And that is because the act of fermentation is, yeast consuming sugar and converting it into alcohol and also carbon dioxide. So, but with sparkling wine, those bubbles get trapped inside the bottle, and that's how we get sparkling wine. And another thing to note about when you're making sparkling wine, you want to pick the grapes early. And that's because you want to keep acidity in a wine. As grapes ripen on the vine, the sugars get greater and the acid drops down, but you want to keep that acidity. And that's for two reasons. You don't want the sugars too high because with sparkling wine, it's usually a lower alcohol wine. You want it to be refreshing and light. And the same thing why you want that acidity to remain high in the grape. We want refreshment. It's usually something we drink with breakfast or in daytime or as an aperitif. And you always want it to be nice and refreshing and light. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how rosé is made, but first I just want to talk about how red wine is made, because rosé is made a lot of times, how you get the pink color is from red grapes. So as you can see in that cross section of a grape, the skin is the only part that has color in it. So when you crush a grape, the juice is clear, but the skin has they're called anthocyanins. That's the chemical term for them, but that's the compounds that make a wine red. But when you're making a rosé wine, you take those dark grapes and crush it, get the clear juice. You put the dark skins in with it during fermentation briefly. However, if you were making a full red wine, a full-bodied red wine, you'd allow those skins to stay with the juice for, weeks or even months. But with a rosé, anywhere from 2 to 12 hours is just enough to get the right shade of pink that you want. Okay, so what is the blend in these grapes? So it's Pinot Noir, 10%, and that's, keeps it bright and acidic and tart. The Grenache gives a little fruitiness, and it's actually a lower acid grape, so they're kind of good to be blended together for red grapes. But then 80% is French Colombar, which is a light, refreshing white grape, and also Uni Blanc, which is also just light, tart, refreshing. And these grapes are grown in the south of France for this wine. Okay, so our flavor profile, doesn't this just remind you of summer? It was a beautiful day here in Santa Barbara where we are, but it's, fruit forward, but very crisp. You get all those summer fruits, you get raspberries, you get strawberries, watermelon. And as I mentioned, there's 4 grapes in this wine, which is pretty unique, and they're red grapes and white grapes. So that's pretty unique for a rosé. All right, now everyone's favorite part, food pairings for this wine. Anything with shrimp, a shrimp cocktail, shrimp scampi, some nice lobster scallops, any kind of shellfish really would go great with this wine. Brunch, of course. And then the bottom right corner, there's some tomato bruschetta that goes great with any rosé wine really. And then on the right hand, it's some camembert with fresh raspberries on top. That just looks delicious. But really, as a sommelier, it's pretty simple how you compare food and wine together. It's not really rocket science. And a really easy tip to look for is color. So as you can just, take a look at what we have on the screen here, different shades of wine, go with food items that match the coloring. So nature kind of does know best when it comes to food and wine pairing. All right, so summing up this wine, it is a vivacious wine, which just means it's light and bubbly and refreshing and fun. I talked about our grape blend, and it is made in the Charmat method, and it's aged 3 months. So Charmat method is the French way of saying Prosecco method, way to make sparkling wine. And I talked about the food pairings, and this is a great deal if you're a Wine Society member, or if you just want to purchase this retail. It is a really great bargain for a nice, delicious sparkling. All right, so I'm going to take a little break here. Stop share. All right, so do we have anything in the chat? Let's see here.
Anybody have any questions? Just chat them in. Tell us how you're liking the wine. Nothing so far.
All right, well, if we don't have any questions at this time, I'll kick it back over to Dr. Joe.
Thank you, Peggy, for all of that dearth of information that we just got about tasting. I didn't even think to pair Chardonnay with eggs. So that was like something that I think I'm going to try.
I made a note about it.
So if I know that we may not have had some questions come in over the chat. If you think about them, chat them at any time, and Peggy and Brian will be looking at the chat and be able to answer your questions on the fly. So
I know we're going to toast.
we are going to toast.
Yeah.
I know we're doing
So
it.
we're just for everyone else out there that wants to join us. Thank you very much, Brian.
Delicious.
Well, it's great to see everyone here today and the community support. We want to remind you that the silent auction is still going on. It closes at 5. There are some really incredible items there, that we mentioned earlier. We just want to highlight another one here, which is really nice, that you can bring your eggs and Chardonnay with you on a picnic.
This is a picnic basket. So it comes complete with a set of 4 of everything you need, including your own wine bottle opener. So you'll never forget it. It's in the basket. They've made this very, very, very complete. So, and we also have the wine glasses that you'll need to carry wine on your picnic.
There's the gift card from Panino in here. So Girl Scout cookies. They may not be there when you get it, but I'll make sure they stay in there. Some crackers, cheese, wine.
A nice bottle of wine from Sunstone to get you a Sauvignon Blanc to get you started in this picnic season. So think about spring as it comes up, and starting to enjoy our beautiful weather around here in Santa Barbara with our beautiful picnic basket.
And eggs are not included. You need to bring those.
All right.
So thank you, Joe. And just make sure you go to our website, toasttohope.com, where you can see all these items, as well as make a contribution to support ACS. Just click on the buttons, and it's just an easy walkthrough. You can do that. We really appreciate your community support. So please go to toasttohope.com to check the auction items and to make a donation. And aside from the auction items, I wanted to share that during the pandemic, they saw screenings for cancer drop almost 95%. People just were not leaving their house, not going to the doctor, and it becomes a very serious issue for people who aren't getting screenings. And only $100 gift could support screenings for cancer. So it is going to be one of the things we're encouraging to do to support cancer screenings is through a $100 gift donation. Joe, you want?
And as Brian just said, screening and life-saving treatments during COVID-19 have declined precipitously, and we want to change that. We're trying to get the word out. And I think that, whether you're a cancer patient seeking, treatments, or a caregiver, the responsibilities of worrying about the future, let alone how to get a doctor's appointment has been terribly challenging. This year, we would like to take a moment and step back and look at those supporters of cancer patients, those who fight along with the cancer patient. And these are the caregivers. These are the people that go to every appointment. They sit with you during your treatment. They make sure that you are comfortable at home. They book doctor's appointments. They ask questions. They're the person that is by your side. They're your ride or die. And so this year we would like to join, or the ACS Santa Barbara committee has made Lisa Morris our honoree this year as this year's caregiver. Lisa Morris is a longtime ACS volunteer. She's a caregiver to her mom. And here's a video from Lisa, who's sharing a bit more about her journey as a caregiver.
Hello, my name is Lisa Morris, and I am proud and honored to be your caregiver speaker for this year's American Cancer Society Gala, Toast of Hope. I've been involved with the American Cancer Society for over 20 years, starting with the Relay for Life when I got my own cancer diagnosis at the age of 22. 2021 has been an emotional roller coaster. At the beginning of this year, I lost my best friend Deanna to cancer. In March of this year, my mom told me that she found a lump in her breast. Due to COVID-19, it was extremely hard to get any kind of doctor's appointments. After many phone calls to the American Cancer Society, by May, my mom got her mammogram, and it showed a large mass in her left breast. Within 2 weeks of many more phone calls and the American Cancer Society helping out, we finally got a biopsy done, and we heard those words, "You have cancer." I've been an advocate since I had my own diagnosis in 1995, so I knew the words that the doctors were using. It wasn't foreign language to me. But now, they were talking about my mom. It's a whole different experience. During this time, my mom had already scheduled to retire from her job and to move out of state. So now, I was her caregiver, booking appointments, scheduling surgeries, scheduling COVID testing, scheduling radiation treatments at City of Hope, which would now be a 3-hour round-trip drive every day for her radiation treatments. Oh, did I mention I was also packing up a house, selling one house, purchasing another, and having shippers move my mom's stuff to another state, all while undergoing her cancer treatments. Thanks to the American Cancer Society staff, both locally and statewide, with their 24-hour hotline, was very, very helpful during this time of need. ACS could not have done what they do without your help. We haven't been able to gather in a normal gala setting for the past 2 years, but cancer hasn't stopped, and neither has the American Cancer Society. They have been there for everyone, whether it be a ride to a doctor's appointment, whether you need a new wig, whether you need a referral, or anything, just someone to listen to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. American Cancer Society is there. And I'm proud to say that literally 2 weeks after my mom's final radiation treatment, my mom and her sister drove cross country to Arkansas, where she now lives cancer-free. So if you can, do whatever you can to help and donate to the American Cancer Society, because you never know when you're going to get that phone call that says you have cancer. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lisa, for all you do for your mom. And we are very glad to hear that your mom is cancer-free. This is why we have to keep fighting against cancer everywhere. And I saw a quote here, and I thought it was perfect because it's the caregivers like Lisa taking care of her mom all around the world that is so meaningful. And it's a quote from Maya Angelou, and it just really, I think it really brings this point home. It goes as this: I learned that I still have a lot to learn. I learned that people will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how they made you feel. And it's these caregivers that put their lives' energy into supporting our friends and family that are struggling with cancer that are so meaningful. So thank you again, Lisa. In 2021, cancer still affects 1 out of 3 people. COVID-19 has impacted our life-saving cancer research and our patient programs. It affected me, it seems like, too. But you can support our mission and our programs and help save lives by creating a better future for our tomorrow. Please donate today through our website. Donate now to save the fight against cancer. Please go to toasttohope.com, click on the auction link, buy one of our auction items, make a contribution. At the very, very bottom of the auction page, you will see the mission delivery donation amounts. These are the last auction items on the page. So for instance, the $100 donation that I mentioned earlier to support cancer prevention screening, you'll see that on there as well. Another aspect is when transportation is a cancer patient's biggest roadblock to treatment, especially during COVID-19, it got even worse. We help provide rides that can help save lives. Our Road to Recovery program provides patients free rides to and from cancer-related appointments. A gift of $500 can help provide 10 rides to people for transportation to and from their cancer treatments. These cancer treatment transportation is very important. There is a temporary pause in our Road to Recovery program, but to get us safely through COVID-19, but we are ready to relaunch as soon as safe to do so. So please support that with a $500 gift. We have Al Christ, a Road to Recovery driver, who is going to share about his experience about driving patients.
Hello, my name is Al Christ. I'm a volunteer for the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program. Unfortunately, due to Hello, my name is Al Christ. I'm a volunteer for the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the program is on pause, but I hope it will be back in business soon. The Road to Recovery program matches cancer patients with volunteers who have the ability to take them to their doctors or to their appointments and give them a safe ride home. This program gives me the opportunity to do 3 things that I love. 1, I like driving my car. Sometimes I can pick up a family with my SUV. We put the booster seats in them, we give them a comfortable ride to their appointment and bring them home. But if there's just one person, I can then drive my little red sports car. I get a kick out of driving it, and I think they do too. Second, I love talking to people. Often I find patients, I find out their life histories, and I can tell them a little bit about my experience with prostate cancer. Third, I also like helping people out. Many times I've driven to San Ynez Valley or to Ventura, pick up a mother and a child who's undergoing treatment, and then drive them home later in the day. All in all, it's an easy and rewarding volunteer opportunity, and I highly recommend it for those of you who have the time of the day to give someone a lift.
I know I'm with you, Al. I love driving my car. So anybody who knows me, I love driving my car. I definitely love talking. And I like to help people out. So Road to Recovery sounds like a program for me, and I hope you consider doing it as well. Thank you so much for all that you do, Al, and we look forward to having you back on the road soon. What a wonderful volunteer. Thank you. So if you have not done so, please go to the auction website at toasttohope.com. You'll be able to bid on our amazing items. We keep talking about them because we think that they're so amazing. And right now I want to highlight the Santa Barbara Trolley of Lights tour. It's back. And thanks to Claudia Lash of Lash Construction, who I have to tell you, finds out every year when the phones open and you can make a reservation for this trolley. It sells out the day that the phones open for this. It sells out. And she is the first one that calls every year and makes sure that we have this as an auction item every year. And so what we have is, we have a full trolley car all to yourself for you and 19 of your closest friends and family. So celebrate the holidays in style during this 90-minute excursion by trolley tour through Santa Barbara's most favorite neighborhoods lit up with Christmas lights. I live over here on the west side and I get to walk my dog on one of their most prized streets, Mountain. And I have to tell you, it is a real hoot. You get 5 to 7 trolley cars all in line. Everybody's having a party. It's great. So the trip this year that Claudia was able to secure is for Saturday, December 18th. So if you happen to bid and want this trolley car tour for you and 19 of your friends, it is happening Saturday, December 18th. And the pickup location is at Harry's Bar, which is in the Gelston's Shopping Center.
And that is next Saturday.
That is next Saturday, 1 week from today.
That's it. The holidays are coming quickly upon us. But what about that week stay in Steamboat?
I know, a ski trip. You know, I don't ski, but I would be happy to learn in Steamboat.
You know, and if you want to get out of town and you can't make the trolley, the Steamboat Colorado trip is amazing. And we want to thank Lane Chris for securing that as an amazing getaway as one of our awesome items. Please go to toastofhope.com, take a look at that and make your bids. There are 2 different vacation options. There's a condo for a small group of 4, and then there's a house for a group of 12. So you can either send your in-laws away to the group of 4, or you can take everyone together and for the group of 12. But take a look. If you like to ski, get out and hike, see nature, you want a reunion with your friends and family, it's a great opportunity, and support ACS at the same time. So please take the opportunity to take a look at that and find yourself in Steamboat, Colorado. So remember, you have until 5 o'clock. You have an hour and 20 minutes to secure your getaway with your family in Steamboat, Colorado.
So while you're mulling over your trip to Steamboat and starting to book your flights there, or maybe calling your best friends for next weekend's trolley car tour because you want to get started early and find those 19 other people who are going to go with you. While you do that, we want to invite Brian Dean and Peggy Dean back for the second part of our wine tasting today. Brian?
No. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Well, those auction items look amazing. Now I'd like to invite everyone to pour themselves a glass of our second wine. It's from Frenchy Winery in Napa Valley. It's called Celebration. And, you know, we chose this wine because, let's face it, because COVID has really kind of put the kibosh on so many galas and fun celebrations. So we're going to do our own little celebration here with this great wine. While you're pouring your wine, I'd like to tell you just a moment, take a moment to tell you about the wineries that Peggy and I represent. It's called the Boise Collection. You know, I truly believe this portfolio of wines is the perfect partner for the American Cancer Society. Well, that's because, you know, all of Boise's wines are handcrafted with sustainable farming and organic fruit. The company uses no pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemical fertilizers, and half a dozen other chemical sprays I cannot pronounce, all of which, you know, are creating lots of problems for people and the environment and the streams. It runs off into our streams. So using none of these artificial chemical sprays is very rare in the wine world. So I say, hey, look, we all like to enjoy ourselves once in a while. We all like to drink a little wine. If you're going to drink wine, drink great wine that won't harm your health. Okay, so on to our second wine, the Frenchy Celebration. And I'm going to share my screen and pull up our PowerPoint again. All right. Now, you might be wondering why I'm showing you a picture of this adorable, cuddly little French bulldog. Well, the Frenchy Winery was born one day at Raymond Vineyards in St. Helena, Napa Valley. Jean-Charles was coming to work and he parked his car and he saw an SUV with a dog in it. And it was 102 degrees. It was mid-August in Napa Valley. It was sweltering. And the poor little thing only had 1 little inch of window open to breathe. And he went in the tasting room and he said, pardon me, his charming French accent. Pardon me, who owns the SUV in the parking lot with the cute dog? And the couple said, they shyly said, oh, that would be us. That's our dog. He says, I would like to invite you to bring your dog into the backyard. I'm going to give him water and treats. I don't want to have him suffer in the car. And that sparked an idea for him to create Napa Valley's first, Napa Valley's first dog-friendly winery. This is Jean-Charles, by the way, our French proprietor, the handsome, charming man. And his dog, Frenchie, a French bulldog. So he created a doggy daycare. It's literally a building that he had an architect come in and he had construction people come in and build this little doggy daycare so people could come to Raymond Vineyards, put their dogs here in this structure with nice mineral water, gourmet treats, and they could go in and do a tasting room. And I'm told that there's actually a closed circuit TV where you can sip your wine and watch your dog in the doggy daycare. So I mentioned it's located at Raymond Vineyards. That's in the heart of Napa Valley in St. Helena. It's just a lovely, beautiful place. And Raymond Vineyards is actually, it's the same winemaker who makes our wines for Raymond that makes the Frenchie line. That's Stephanie Putnam, a highly award-winning winemaker. Raymond Vineyards, it might look all beautiful and bucolic, but it's a biodynamic farm. And if anybody knows anything about organic and biodynamic farming, it's essentially where you have, like I said, no chemical sprays, but you also have biodiversity on the farm. You have sheep and chickens to provide manure, natural manure for fertilizer. And the sheep are kind of like, little cute little weed whackers. They go up and down between the grapevines and they'll eat some of the weeds. The chickens go and they'll peck and poke and eat some of the bugs up and down through the vineyards. And also we have what they call it a beneficial insectary, and they plant herbs and flowers and all kinds of diverse plant life to attract positive pests. And sometimes if you get a negative pest, well, they find a pest that will eat that negative pest who won't harm the grapevines. So everything works in harmony with nature. Now you might be thinking it's all, it's all nice and bucolic, but if you ever do go visit Raymond Vineyards, it's gorgeous inside. And that's the Jean-Charles stylistic touch. Just a note about your wine label. I'm going to actually show it to you now. So you got two French bulldogs fist bumping. One's paw bumping. One is from America and one is from France. And Jean-Charles told us a story that his grandparents actually did escape being captured and by the Nazis in World War II. So his whole family just has a real true love for America and how they helped the French out. And this is just the spirit of celebration, of uniting our two continents and our countries and having the two cultures come together in celebration. And if you're curious, we actually have about 5 or 6 different Frenchie wines. And some of them have different portraits or oil paintings of Frenchie the bulldog, Jean-Charles' dog, in different historical environments. Here we have, this is, basically it's the Napoleon cab that we have from Napa Valley. And you can see he's put his little paw inside the uniform, much like Napoleon did in his paintings. And this is Marie Antoinette over here. So it's really kind of an homage to American figures using Frenchie as the catalyst. And this is, of course, Frenchington, George Frenchington, the founder of our country, as we all know. Okay, so that's the fun part of this wine. Let's talk a little bit about what's in your glass and what makes up this wine. So it's 81% French Colombard, and that's widely used in Europe. It's a very light and refreshing, it produces a light and refreshing wine. The origins are in France, but 11% of this wine is Trousseau Gris. That's another French grape, and that gives more fresh and aromatic quality. So if you just take your glass and do a little swirl and do a little smell, it's just a lovely bouquet. And some of that is coming from the Trousseau. We've got 5% Albarino, and that originates from Portugal, and that's a very citrusy and aromatic grape as well. And here's just a little bit of Muscat Blanc, and that, the debate is out there whether it comes from Greece, Italy, or France. I've got conflicting opinions. Most of the people would agree it originated, we're talking 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, from Greece. And how about the flavor profile of this wine? I would love to describe this as very, very balanced. It's got nice, fresh acidity, a nice zesty and lively flavor profile with a really nice long finish. Some of the aromas you get when you smell, I get some grapefruit and lemon zest, a little floral, little white flowers or white floral aroma. But the flavors, we get some stone fruit, your peaches and maybe a little bit of apricot, maybe even some pineapple to give it with that some of that zest and that acidity, and maybe mango, and just a little bit of key lime pie. All right, so we all love to pair food with wine because I love to eat, and I've been eating way too much during COVID. I know where the COVID-19 is. It's like right here in my tummy. So for food pairings, we're looking at maybe up here in the upper left-hand corner, we have maybe a barbecue chicken salad. That would go really well with this. A lot of people say, what do you pair with spicy food? This would be really, really nice because it's just got just a little bit of creaminess to it too, to dial down the intensity of some of the spicy foods. And down here on the left, we have a creamy chicken pasta. And over here on the right, a nice creamy kind of a goat cheese, maybe on a nice hearty cracker. And here's another food and wine pairing tip. You can, next time you go to the next dinner party or virtual wine tasting with us, and you want to really kind of impress your friends, salt will always make your wine seem much less acidic and more fruity. So if you have a highly acidic wine and maybe it's just, wow, that's really tart and acidic, let's just have a little bit of some salty cheese. Like I mentioned in the last slide, we have some goat cheese, which has a nice salt presence. That'll really dial down the acidity and bring out that bouquet of fresh fruit in your wine. All right, so let's sum up this wine. This is again in our vivacious category. The Frenchy Winery Celebration. As I mentioned, it's a 4-grape blend from the North Coast AVA wine producing region. That includes Napa, Sonoma, and Lake counties up in Northern California. Pairs with a wide range of foods, even brunch. And it's 13.5% alcohol, so a little lower than most average wines from that region. And I always like to say this is a tart wine to make you drool. And it's only $30 retail or $24 in our wine society and for our JCB collectors. And that is the story behind Frenchy. And I'd like to, and that's our charming proprietor, Jean-Charles. He always likes to spray champagne on people at galas and parties. And that's Peggy and I in the background running for our lives. Okay. So let's see if we have any questions in our chat box. Good wine. The Frenchy picture made me smile. Good choice. Thank you very much, Edwards. And then, like I said, if you have if anything strikes your fancy and you have any questions, just chat them in. We'll be happy to address them in the chat box. And salute.
Yeah, Santé.
Yes, Santé. I have to tell you, I love this Frenchy wine. It's going down quite easy over here, Brian and Peggy. Yes.
We won't be throwing it around the room now.
Great for the dog lovers out there.
All right. So thank you, Peggy and Brian. I just want to remind everybody once again that the mission for the American Cancer Society is to save lives, celebrate lives, and lead the fight for a world without cancer. And really locally in Santa Barbara, there are 4 companies that just make this possible, make this gala or virtual event. This is 2 years now that we're virtual event, and we're hoping next year is an actual in-person gala. But there are 4 companies that we just really, really want to say a heartwarming thank you to. Agilent Technologies, Community West Bank, Lash Construction, and Xperia Creative. Without these dedicated partners, we couldn't put on an event like this, and we couldn't raise funds for the American Cancer Society here and our local services here in Santa Barbara. And so one of the things that you may ask yourself is, when you donate to the American Cancer Society, what is it that you're actually donating to? One of the things that you're donating to is cancer research. So this happens at the national level. The American Cancer Society runs very prestigious granting programs that are funded through your donations. So they fund the top scientists at multiple levels. And I am a former American Cancer Society supported researcher. And like many researchers, I've been personally touched by cancer. I've lost my father-in-law to esophageal cancer in 2011. And part of what motivates me day after day in the lab is remembering him and his fight and thinking how life would have been different if his treatments were different and he were still alive today. So in support of ACS mission, like mine, I like to envision a world without cancer. Please join me as we share what it means to be a cancer researcher, especially now during the time or after the time of COVID, where getting research up and going again and really making strides toward life-saving cancer research is oh so important, and the American Cancer Society is help leading that way. So join me in watching this short video.
A laboratory is more like a startup company with young, empowered, impassioned, changing the world mindset young people. That's who we need to fund and invest in. That's who's going to change the world. Starting a laboratory as a young academic is difficult. I had applied for grant after grant after grant, and I was on the verge of shutting down my laboratory. In a career-changing move for me, the American Cancer Society funded my first grant. That grant ultimately allowed me to leverage the talent in my laboratory to a larger grant, and then larger, more grants, and then to grow the adrenal cancer program that we have today. In terms of adrenal cancer, we are now understanding the genetic linchpins, the lock and keys that are critically important. Work done by trainees in the laboratory, young minds who were pushing the envelope forward. And what we learn about the causes of a rare cancer like adrenal cancer are proving to be important for common cancers as well. It's been a humbling process because the discoveries we're making in the lab, which, however profound, they're oftentimes not fast enough for the individual person that I find under my care. What I have found, however, is that the biggest strides being made are being made because of the efforts of individual people, by families who have lost someone or families who have seen their loved one survive this cancer. That's where the cures are coming. One person, one family gives back. They're the ones who are actually funding the research that is, without a doubt, the linchpin of leverage moving forward. And that's, I think, the most powerful message to get out there, that not only is it a hyperbole to say you can make a difference, I feel it every day.
So I hope that video inspired you a little bit about making a donation and understanding when you do, what that donation goes to support. I know what it likes to be an American Cancer Society supported researcher. I work in the lab of a wonderful mentor, Dr. Denise Montel, who herself got a start as an American Cancer Society researcher and does some amazing and incredible research at University of California, Santa Barbara. Brian is in love with our lab. We have a beautiful ocean overlooking lab, and it just has been a true pleasure. And I can tell that I can tell you personally that ACS gave me the confidence that I needed as a very young researcher to make a commitment to doing cancer research for the rest of my life. So I just want to make it known that American Cancer Society funded research is so important, and we want to thank each and every one of you for supporting this.
And thank you, Joe, for all you do and all the research you do in your lab. And you do have an amazing lab at UC Santa Barbara, and I've been there many times. But the truth is, what you do makes a difference, and as well as all the other researchers around the world that impact cancer research that come right back down to the local level. So this is why we support American Cancer Society. This is why we need you to support patient services and cancer research to treat and to find a cure for cancer, because we envision a world without cancer. The need to fund new research is critical for American Cancer Society. Since 1946, the American Cancer Society has supported researchers at their pivotal points during their research and their careers, like for instance, like you, to give them the support they need to keep this research going and to help them find and push those boundaries of discovery, to take their ideas and really make their dreams a reality in this research. You can make a difference, and you can make us able to continue this research by supporting and donating today. Going to toasttohope.com, please, an auction item, a donation in many of the areas. We need your help to fund their needs, to continue their work, and to do this life-saving research. So please, once again, go to toasttohope.com and click to donate. And you can do a general donation. You can choose one of our mission delivery donations or one of our auction items. There are many choices there. So, and we really appreciate it if you're taking pictures while doing your wine tasting, or have any incredible pictures you want to share, or even inspirational thoughts. Please go online to our social media platforms and share our hashtag Toast to Hope. We really appreciate it if you did that and to spread the word. We mentioned several times that COVID has really impacted our ability to not only fundraise, but the impact on our health systems and the ability for these preventive screenings that we talked about. So please, I want you to welcome these two doctors from UCLA Health, Dr. Erin Chamberlain and Dr. Naz Haji, as they speak about the importance of preventive cancer screenings.
Hello, I'm Erin Chamberlain, and I am a medical oncologist and hematologist with UCLA Health in San Luis Obispo. Here in San Luis, we offer world-class comprehensive care. We are also excited to announce our new family medicine primary care clinic and specialty care, which includes genetics. Right here, we have ongoing clinical trials that are ripe for participation. We offer precise and patient-centered care, and we have a beautiful infusion center on site. We work through an interdisciplinary approach, both locally as well as within the broader UCLA community, resulting in access to the latest cancer care and technology here and without having to travel to one of the large city centers. Today, I also wanted to emphasize the importance of routine cancer screening. This pandemic has put the health system in every country under strain, and routine services such as cancer screenings were scaled down or even stopped temporarily as part effort to reduce COVID-19 infection and to reduce the load on health services. Understandably, people have also been hesitant to visit healthcare facilities because of the scare of getting the infection. I highlight this because as a consequence, we have observed up to 90% decrease in cancer screening globally. Because of that, we predict a surge in the number of deaths from cancer in the near future. So I strongly urge you to resume routine cancer screening, and I feel it is safe to do so. You will find that the healthcare facilities that provide cancer screenings have put precautions in place to be sure these tests are done as safely as possible. Please speak to your care team if you have questions about cancer screening tests you might be eligible for and when they should be performed.
Hello, I'm Dr. Naz Haji, and I'm a breast surgeon with UCLA Health in Santa Barbara and Ventura. I see patients all throughout the Central California region and manage any kind of disease related to breast health. Thank you for joining me today in this session. I'm very excited to share my knowledge with our community. Today, I wanted to talk to you about breast cancer screening, a topic that may be familiar to many of you, but has undergone quite some updates over the past few years. If you take a look back, the widespread use of screening mammograms over the past 40 years has really helped to dramatically reduce breast cancer mortality in women. And that's basically because we're detecting the disease at an earlier stage. However, breast cancer screening rates unfortunately dropped dramatically during the COVID pandemic. And many studies have shown that this drop was even more dramatic among women of certain racial and ethnic groups, as well as women living in rural areas. And that's critical because a drop in breast cancer screening leads to an increase in more advanced disease at the time of presentation, which would then need more aggressive treatments and perhaps increase in mortality from breast cancer. The American Society of Breast Surgeons recommends that all women should undergo a formal risk assessment by their physician at the age between 25 to 30. What does that mean? That means that you need to have a discussion with your doctor, and they sit you down and calculate your risk, individualized risk, on the basis of family history, genetic testing, personal history of any kind of breast disease, chest radiation for other disease. Once they do this calculation, and if that's determined that you fall in under an average risk woman, then you should begin your annual screening mammograms at age 40. It's important to also note that women with average risk, if they have dense breasts, meaning that they have a lot of breast tissue in their breasts, that usually happens in younger premenopausal women, which could potentially obscure some kind of a disease in their breasts, we usually recommend them to undergo a 3D mammogram and sometimes supplement that with an ultrasound for better analysis of their breast tissue, and that can also pick up any kind of subtle changes. For those women that have lifetime risk greater than 20%, they should begin annual mammograms with an MRI at age 35. If the patient has a known genetic mutation, such as BRCA, then the patient goes into our high-risk surveillance program and start with MRI annually at age 25. And once they turn 30, they alternate every 6 months between an MRI and mammogram. This pattern overall continues for women until, and we usually stop that when the expected lifespan for a woman is less than 10 years, and that can be an individualized decision based on their overall health status. So, what is best for you? It's important to perform self-exams and become familiar with your anatomy, the shape of your breast, the shape of your nipple and areola, the skin texture of your breast, also your axillary, your armpit region. Also have clinical exams done annually, either by your primary care doctor, if you see a gynecologist, or breast specialist such as myself. And also become familiar with your family history of any kind of breast, ovarian, or any other kind of cancer. And I think holidays, when we get together, that's usually a good time to just ask about any disease that may be running in our families. And of course, getting your screening mammogram. I believe implementing all of these together is probably the best defense against breast cancer. And I also believe that catching any kind of breast disease in an early stage increases the odds for a successful and less invasive treatment. I hope the information that I shared with you today empowers you to take charge of your health, and please feel free to reach out to me if you need to have a discussion to determine a plan that's right for you individually. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope you have a safe and healthy holiday season with your family. Bye.
Well, thank you very much for Dr. Chamberlain and Haji for your very detailed sharing of what research looks like in cancer screening. We really appreciate all the work that you are doing to support our patients on the Central Coast. So thank you very much to the both of you. And it reminds us the power of having screenings and getting screenings done. So please share with your friends and family for those who are at risk to get their screenings done.
Hey, Brian, do you know what time it is?
It's time to get your bedding in.
No, it's time to get another glass of wine.
Oh,
but
I like that.
Before we do that, I would like to highlight one of the other auction items, another auction item that I think is absolutely stunning, gorgeous. This is a print, an octopus print by artist Laura Miller of Studio RLM. And this was a donation that we got that I am in love with. I love here in Santa Barbara thinking about the marine world, the marine realm. And so a print of an octopus I know would look as good on your walls as it will mine. So let's fight over this one. Go ahead and start bidding.
It'll look very smart because octopus have 12 brains.
Do they?
Yeah.
I know they have 8 legs, but I just love octopus, right? So here's another auction item that I just think is pretty wonderful.
So it's time to drink more wine.
It's time to drink more wine. So I think we want to hand it over to Peggy and Brian to help present our last wine.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's pour the final wine. We're going to the dark side now for all you red wine lovers. So pour yourself a little of the Sheriff Red Blend.
Okay.
All right. So you may be wondering why your bottle has jewelry on it. So I'll get to the story behind that before we dive into the wine. So Buena Vista Winery, I don't know if any of you been up to Sonoma and had the chance to visit. It is, it's the first wine caves that were ever dug in California. So when you visit, you can take a tour and see these here. It's just outside the downtown part of Sonoma, which is called like Sonoma Square, the town square. It's a few miles away. And I love this photograph because it's an artist rendering of when the winery was founded in 1856. And that's on the left-hand side, of course. And then on the right-hand side is what it looks like today when you go to the tasting room. So yeah, so this was California's first premium winery. I'm sorry, I said 1856, it's 1857, my bad. So here is again inside the winery in the wine caves, and it was founded by this gentleman here, Colonel Agustin Haratzi. I won't make anyone say that after having a few glasses of wine.
Say it 3 times really quick. Haratzi, Haratzi, Haratzi.
So he was the father of the California wine industry. He hailed from Hungary and was very entrepreneurial, came from a winemaking family, and he heard all about the New World and, of course, California. So he first landed in San Diego and transported some vines over and was trying to get some vineyards going there. It wasn't working out so well down there in that region. However, he had leadership skills and was very popular in the town. So they appointed him the town's first sheriff, and he also built the town's first jail. So that's what this wine is, an homage to him being the first sheriff of San Diego. But eventually, he got restless and he still was searching for the best place to start a vineyard in the New World. And it was the gold rush. And he went up north and landed in Sonoma, where he founded Buena Vista Winery. So it's this beautiful historic place. It's a California landmark. However, it has the signature, Jean-Charles Boisset touches. You can go into this little room here where it's the bubble lounge. You can taste some great bubbles and champagne and enjoy some of that fun kind of luxury. It looks kind of like something from the 20s to me. We've been in there. I guess it was like about 6 weeks ago we were up there and got to taste in there.
And several Baccarat chandeliers hanging in all the properties that Jean-Charles acquires and improves upon.
He likes his bling.
He likes his bling.
So, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about why we blend wine, because I remember one time someone said to me, well, I heard blends are just like all the leftover wine no one wanted to, do anything with, and they blend it together. Well, that's not true. In fact, some of the most expensive wines on planet Earth are blended wines, and they're the wines of Bordeaux, the Bordeaux region of France. So they've been blending forever. And for them, it's more, they need to do it because their climate is very unpredictable. They have a lot of rain, some coolness. So certain grapes varieties may ripen better during a certain year, a certain vintage. But in California, we have this amazing sunshine and we don't have to worry about that too much. So the fun of blending in California is taking something from a cooler climate, so cooler parts of Sonoma, and then some grapes from a warmer part and blending them together. So you get a lot of balance, you get style, and also, demand is there for blends, because blends have become popular because you don't really need food with them. As you're tasting this wine, it's not completely drying your mouth out. You don't feel like you need a ribeye. I mean, this would be great with a ribeye, but you don't really need one. Same with our white blend, right? So, and then also consistency, year after year, winemakers like to have a style, a consistent style that they shoot for, and blending helps them with that. And blends also appeal to red and white wine fans, again, because they're not too extreme. They're kind of very well balanced. So they're good crowd pleasers to bring to a party. All right, the profile of this wine. I don't know what you guys are getting. Feel free to chat it in, swirl and sniff away. But yeah, lots of black fruits. There's blackberries, blueberries, currants, and a little floral notes, a little bit of violet, like purple flowers. And on the palate, that the same notes kind of follow, but I get a lot of baking spice, a little bit of maybe nutmeg, cinnamon notes, and then, some dark chocolate, which I always love in a red wine.
I'm getting that on the finish, like after about 10 seconds after you swallow, it's like a tuning fork, it just continues on, and I get that chocolate rich warming effect.
Yeah. So it has an elegant texture, polished tannins. I'm going to take a minute to explain what tannins are in case you don't know, because that word's, used a lot in wine. You may not know exactly what it means or where they come from. So as I talked about earlier with making red wine or rosé wine and the color being only present in the skins, there's also a molecule called tannin present in skins. And that is just, the drying effect you get from a red wine. It kind of dries your mouth out. That's just naturally what happens. And that's because tannins like to bond with fat and protein. So if you're not eating a juicy steak or a burger or some cheese and you're drinking red wine, they bond to your gums and your tongue and the roof of your mouth because there's protein in there. So, but with this wine, as I mentioned, it's not too drying. It has a nice polished tannins, as we like to call them. And there's still some refreshing acidity left in the wine. It's not too overly alcoholic or fruity. And it has a really nice long finish. And then this wine was aged 15 months in French oak barrels. 9% were new. So I'm going to also talk to you guys a little bit about what oak aging means. So for any really good red wine, you want to age it in oak barrels because oak is the perfect vessel. It's very pliable and also like slightly porous. So they can bend it to shape it into barrels. And then it being porous, it allows a little bit of oxygen in, and that just sort of relaxes a wine over time before you put it in the bottle. And when I say 9% new barrels, so after about 3 years of use, an oak barrel is considered neutral. So it's not imparting a lot of oaky essence into the wine. So you're not getting cedar notes or vanilla or any of those sort of woodsy notes. But they took 9% of the fermented grape juice and put it in new oak barrels. So those barrels were only about 1 or 2 years old. So they only wanted a slight oaky presence. So if you again, swirl and sniff your wine, it's not overwhelmingly oaky. You probably all have had some red wines where kind of all you really smell, or you smell a lot, is that woodsy oaky smell. They wanted to be pulled back on that on this wine as well, and just have a very subtle presence with the oak. All right, and here we go. Yum, some food pairings for the sheriff. So on the upper left corner, that looks like some delicious lamb chops. If anybody's a fan of some nice roasted lamb, especially for the holidays. The bottom left corner is Hungarian goulash, and that is a nod to our buddy, Agustin Haradzi from Hungary, who founded the winery and was the first sheriff. So that's a nod to him, and any kind of beef stew would be great with this wine. And then with cheeses, I feel like you could do a variety of cheeses, but mainly like some aged cheeses, a little age on the cheeses, since this is a richer wine. And then as we talked about the dark chocolate notes, this wine would pair really well with some dark chocolate. All right, so summing up the sheriff, it's the blend of grapes, 33% Cabernet Sauvignon, 28% Petit Syrah. And then we have a smattering of others like Syrah, Petit Verdot, Grenache, Mourvedre, and Mission. And it is all grown in Sonoma. And as I mentioned, some cooler parts of Sonoma, some warmer parts, and blended together. And this is $50 retail, $40 for our members. And I want to share really quickly, because I know you guys opened 3 bottles of wine today, and some of you might be on your own.
I want to just preface this by saying that you need to get a pen and pencil, because this is a very highly technical technique only a sommelier could impart to you.
So you don't forget all the gadgets and things like that. You don't need to worry about
like
it.
The rabbit that sucks air out of the bottle. And,
all you need to do is put that cork back in, even with the sheriff, put it in your regular refrigerator, because wine's biggest enemies after you've opened the bottle are oxygen and warmth or heat. So in refrigerators, that's how we keep food fresh, right? There's no oxygen in there, and it keeps it cool. And then when you're ready to drink the red wine, you just pour yourself a glass and let it come to room temperature and enjoy it. And of course, the bubbly, if you have this is one thing to invest in. It's like a bubbly stopper. They kind of go in and click down so they keep the pressure in there and keep the bubbles fresh. That's actually a good thing, and you can get those very cheap. Those aren't expensive for bubbles, but you guys might be able to get through the bubbles tonight. I don't know. But for the red and white wine, they will last up to 5 days if you just keep them in your regular refrigerator.
Never keep it on your calendar because, you know, within 2 or 3 days, it's
Yeah.
going to spoil and be like vinegar. But we've gone on vacation at times and come back a week later, and a half bottle of wine we put in the refrigerator. We uncorked it, let it come to room temperature, drank it. Awesome.
So again, a lot of sommelier tips are not brain surgery, or what do you call it? Rocket science.
Rocket science.
Brain science.
You don't have to be a cancer researcher
Yes.
like Dr. Joe
Yes.
to get it.
All right. So that was our Toast to Hope wine tasting flight. And we're going to break for Q&A and maybe another little cheers to everyone. And I can kick it back
I'll
to
stop share and kick it back to Dr. Joe and Brian.
All right. Thank you, Brian and Peggy. I really do want to say thank you for helping us toast to hope this year with 3 amazing wines. What a wonderful way to finish with the sheriff. I know Brian and I have thoroughly enjoyed every bottle, almost finishing it as we've been going along. And so I really did want to take up one last toast with Brian as we toast to hope. So I really did enjoy the personal wine tasting event that we had today. And we want to remind you, I want to remind you, I know we've been reminding you of all of the auction items, but if you particularly enjoyed Brian and Peggy, I want to bring up the last auction item that I'm going to remind you of. And this is that Brian and Peggy have offered to do a personal wine tasting in your home. And I can say from personal experience, they offered this to the virtual gala last year. And my husband, Greg, and I actually did this. And we invited Brian and Peggy up to 12 of our closest friends. And I think we had something like 8 bottles, 9 bottles of wine, 7, Greg and I put together 7 courses for that. And so I can personally tell you that it was a once in a lifetime experience. And so I want to just hand it over to Brian and Peggy one more time, where they can tell you a little bit more about the auction item that they are offering about a personal wine tasting in your home.
Great. Well, thank you, Joe. It was a wonderful time we shared together. And I think a couple of people who are on the event tonight were with us at Joe and Greg's home back in August. So, this is going to be an enjoyable evening. The wine tasting we'll conduct in person, and we will drive up here to Santa Barbara happily to fulfill this donation to A Toast to Hope. It's going to be an enjoyable evening. It'll be a much more intimate in-person event. You can gather up to 12, really wine-loving friends, people who really could appreciate good wine. And we're going to bring our A game. We're going to bring some of our absolute best wines in the Boise Collection for you. This would be, I'll describe this as a guided sensory journey, conducted by Peggy and me. You'll taste wines handcrafted from the Boise Collection, from our biodynamic vineyards in Napa Valley, Sonoma County, and France. And we'll bring the crystal Riedel stemware. If you don't have matching wine glasses, we're happy to do that. And we'll make certain tasty food pairing suggestions to enhance the enjoyment and pair with the wines. And, at the end of the day, Peggy and I will personalize the wines we bring to your palate, to your preferences, and those of your friends. We'll work hard to cultivate your wine knowledge, and even further than tonight. And that hopefully you can appreciate fine wine and discover new favorites to enjoy in the future. So thank you. Please bid on it. Feature.
All right, we've had a little bit of back and forth. I don't know if any of you know, but Brian and Peggy are in my backyard. And so we've been going a little bit back and forth, and it's been really enjoyable. Thank you, Brian and Peggy. We really enjoyed today. I know I enjoyed it. So I'm going to just go ahead and speak for everybody on the Zoom that we all enjoyed it. So and go ahead and bid for that private wine tasting. I know amazing. It was amazing. We have fantastic neighbors here, and we made it kind of like we all chipped in and we all took a course, and it really, in a time where you want to get together and you want to share with friends and family, it just was a wonderful, wonderful time.
So you're saying whoever bids on it and wins it, we're available.
We can be the entertainment. All right. So getting on with the program, as we start to think about closing the program tonight, I really want to turn the focus a little bit more serious tonight. And I want to start to introduce our last speaker. So our last speaker is Tana Wilson, a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And I really want you to turn up your volume and listen to her story. So we have a 7-minute video from Tana, who unfortunately couldn't be with us in person just because of COVID restrictions and ongoing cancer treatment. But I really want you to listen to her story, and because I think it offers us a powerful message for why we should support the American Cancer Society. So here is Tana Wilson, a 2-time breast cancer survivor.
Good evening, my name is Tana Wilson. I am a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Did you know that 1 out of 8 women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime? In 2010, I was diagnosed with HER2-positive cancer in my left side. As a result, I had radiation and a lumpectomy. Then again, in 2020, I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer on my right side. This type of cancer is much more aggressive, and I had to have chemotherapy, radiation, and another lumpectomy. All of that gave me the prized chemo girls. Since you are here today, I'm going to assume that your life has been touched by cancer somehow. Maybe you're a survivor like me, maybe a family member or a friend has cancer. Let me tell you my story. Cancer first touched my family in 2008 when my sister-in-law Darla was diagnosed with liver cancer. When Darla was 34, she went to the doctor with a stomach ache. After a misdiagnosis and several tests, she was diagnosed with liver cancer. She bravely went through all of her treatments for 2 years while we watched and supported. Finally, there was nothing more they could do. Darla and I went through this terrible disease together. 2 weeks after my last radiation in 2010, she sadly passed away. But you know what? Darla didn't lose her battle. Nobody ever loses the battle of cancer. Before the comedian Norm Macdonald passed away from cancer, he said, "I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure if you die, the cancer dies with you. That's not a loss, that's a draw." And I agree with that. So I'm here today for Darla. Darla's best advice to me was don't live in fear. So when I was asked to give this speech, I knew that I couldn't let my fear prevent me from telling our stories. After I beat my first cancer in 2010, I didn't think it could happen again. They told me that if I had to get cancer, that was the best kind to get, as if any kind of cancer is the best kind of cancer. Anyway, there was such a low chance of reoccurrence that I thought I was done with cancer. Mentally, I struggled every time a new mammogram or blood test was due. I was a nervous wreck, but looking back, it wasn't such a big deal. I had surgery, 6 weeks of radiation, and I was done. And then came the year of our Lord, 2020. I'm sure 2020 was a doozy for all of us. COVID came and everyone was scared. When it came time for my mammogram, I contemplated postponing. I was doing great, but there was no need for the smash and dash, as I like to call it. But I did have a follow-up with my oncologist, and I knew I would get the lecture, and so I went to the appointment. I went without a care in the world. It was the beginning of June. Dealing with COVID precautions wasn't so bad. I kept telling myself that everything was fine, and after the mammogram, I didn't think twice about it. I knew I would get the letter in the mail saying everything was fine. But the next day, I got the call. The doctors had seen something and wanted me to come in for an ultrasound. Not what anyone wants to hear. So, after getting an ultrasound, 2 biopsies, a chest port, 2 breast MRIs, 3 CT scans, 1 ambulance ride, 3 ER visits, 6 months of chemo, complete with losing all of my hair, 2 blood transfusions, 1 lumpectomy with lymph nodes removed, 6 weeks of radiation, and 6 weeks of physical therapy, I can finally say I'm cancer-free. Although, if I think about it, cancer-free isn't really free at all. I've got 6 scars, neuropathy in my fingers and feet. I've become a diabetic, and I've got the constant fear that cancer will come back. So free indeed. One of the first things people tell you when you get a diagnosis is to gather your support team. Take them with you to your appointments and have an extra set of ears to listen at your appointments. But I would like to remind you all that I did all of that under COVID restrictions. I had to go to doctor's appointments alone. I had to spend 6 months receiving chemo alone. I had to go to the ER alone. I had to get dropped off at the curb to get my port put in. I had to endure my lumpectomy surgery alone. I woke up from surgery to a sea of strange eyes and faces hiding behind masks. There was not a familiar face among them. Luckily for me, I have an amazing support team. My daughter and her husband drove all the way from Maryland to be with me. They quarantined in my backyard for 2 weeks. My son quarantined in his apartment just to be with me. My mother would come to my house and she would pick up prescriptions and groceries and leave them on my doorstep. We would wave through the window, but I could never get the hug that I so craved. Every morning when I woke up, there'd be a text from her checking in on me, and she would drop everything for me. My sister was also involved, and last year, when I was going through chemo, she not only shaved her head, but she raised $1,500 on her own for Relay for Life. 2 other friends, Alyssa and Libby, both came to my backyard and shaved their heads for me, and if that's not love, then I don't know what is. And then there's my husband, Marcus. He drove me to all my appointments, and he sat in the parking lot and waited for me time and time again. He dropped me at the curb for my surgeries, and he was there to make sure I had everything I needed. He held me in the darkest hours, and he dried my tears, and was there for me until I was strong enough to carry on. He was my rock during my most difficult moments. Cancer doesn't just affect the patient, it affects your entire family and friends. So, after sitting for hours and hours and months in the chemo room, I got to see all sorts of people fighting for their lives. I saw young people and old people and people of all races. Cancer does not discriminate. There are tons of different kinds of cancer. This is why we are all here today. We need to keep doing the research. We need to figure out a way to get rid of cancer once and for all. We need to improve treatments and outcomes. I don't want anyone else to have to sit here and tell their story. We need to keep raising money and keep supporting the American Cancer Society. We need to end cancer forever. So ladies, love yourself enough to get your mammogram. Do self-exams every month. We all, male or female, need to get our preventative care done, like the dreaded colonoscopy. And we need to continue to raise money for research. Without the research that is done today, I would not be sitting here right now. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for raising money for cancer research, and thank you for supporting the American Cancer Society.
I don't know about you, but I really want to say thank you to Tanya for sharing such an amazing story with us today. You are an inspiration, and we appreciate you sharing how much and how challenging getting cancer treatments during COVID-19 is. I can't even imagine being in the hospital alone, going through what you went through. And so, and reminding us exactly what the American Cancer Society can do. It can help schedule the appointments. It can help with the support services 24 hours a day. And it helps with the life-saving research that is necessary to find cures. So thank you for all that you shared with us today. You are amazing.
Well, thank you, Joan. Thank you, Tanya, for sharing your story. And once again, please do not forget about logging into the auction at toastofhope.com. You'll be able to bid on your silent auction items, support the Cancer Challenge. It's closing at 5 p.m. We have 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes to go.
I need to start bidding. I've been on this Zoom with this guy, and now I need to go start bidding.
Well,
so
I'm going to be talking for a bit, so maybe you should start bidding.
Maybe I need to find my phone. No, we're using that to tape. I can't bid. Hurry up.
That's it. I'll wrap it up quick. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. But we encourage you to take and share photos this afternoon on our Facebook page, hashtag Toast to Hope. So please, I hope you guys are all enjoying yourself with your glasses of wine. And what Brian and Peggy did was amazing. It was very informative. But this is when we come down to the nuts and bolts of why we're here, and that's to support our cancer community and our patients and the services. So now this year's Cancer Challenge will look a little different than in past, because normally we would raise paddles and I would be walking around the room and pointing at you and really hounding you guys to give, but I can only do that virtually today. So I ask all of you to reach deep, not only inside your hearts, but inside your wallets, and to support all of our services and the researchers like Joe, and the people like Al that do the deliveries, and Tanya that twice breast cancer survivors. I mean, these are stories that really are meaningful.
I can tell you they changed lives. They changed lives. I mean, I don't know how else to tell you that. It changes your life.
So please make sure you go to the toasttohope.com. You see all the auction buttons you could choose and the donation buttons. So now we're going to move into where you can support on some big numbers. For instance, $5,000. For your generosity of $5,000, it would be, we call it the Hope Lodge. It helps offset the cost of hotels for extended treatments. These are when they come in, they need to stay for extended, and their families. Your donation of $5,000 can provide a week's lodging for 10 cancer patients and their caregivers who travel long distances for treatment at one of our Hope Lodges. So please, I want you to consider this. Funds also cover operating costs for 100 nights of free lodging for our first line responders and patients. That's right. In the early days of COVID-19, as we all know, it's been crazy. The American Cancer Society has made the difficult decision to close its doors to cancer patients, but we were able to repurpose the space. Okay, and what we're doing, we repurpose the space to help first responders. In a very short time, we redirected our needs of first responders to house hospital staff so they wouldn't put out their families at risk of virus. We're proud to announce that the Hope Lodges are starting back and welcoming back our patients. And now we're through this rollout phase and we're ready to get back in action. So please, I want you to consider a $5,000 gift would do so much for the Hope Lodge. Dropping it down at $2,500, reach to recovery. Your $2,500 gift provides 30 peer support sessions for our breast cancer patients. Tanya did an amazing job talking about her experience. And this is what supports those sessions. The American Cancer Society's Reach to Recovery programs helps female and male breast cancer survivors cope with their cancer experience. So please, I want you to consider doing a $2,500 contribution to support Reach for Recovery. You know, we've adapted to these like in live. We had the Biltmore before. Now we're back to virtual.
You know, I've had a great time with you today, though.
Yeah,
I mean, getting ready for all of this, it was a little bit of but it's been fun because we've had, wine, right?
Yes. But through these crazy times, think about the patients. Tanya expressed how alone she was. These are very important for them, and your contributions help. And for those who have been stuck at home, cancer prevention is very important. Preventing it and getting your screenings are important. But if you give a $1,000 gift, okay, it funds the research, like what Joe does. And we need to support because we want to envision a world without cancer. So please think about $1,000 for a cancer prevention study 3 that includes the future impact of COVID-19 on our patients.
I can tell you as a cancer researcher, the number one thing that you can do to lower your chances of cancer, for increasing your chances of surviving cancer, is early detection. Number one, the earlier the better, the more chance you have of making a road to recovery. And so supporting cancer screenings, getting out there and doing it for yourself, making sure that your loved ones are getting their screenings on time, looking at the times in which you need to do it, is the best thing that you can do. It is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, and that's a simple $100 contribution to support those, and a $500 contribution to the Road to Recovery supports 10 rides. Al talked about this before. People don't have rides. I mean, especially when we get into an elder care or people that don't have the transportation, they need the rides, and they won't go get their screenings or their treatments because they don't have a ride. So $500 Road to Recovery is very important. Please help support that program to provide the rides that are necessary for our patients to get to the hospital as a part of the Road to Recovery program. So we really appreciate it. A $250 contribution does an HPV cancer prevention. This is children's HPV cancer prevention for their vaccines. With the vaccines, the rates decrease 73%. So the HPV vaccine is recommended for both boys and girls in a 2-shot series between ages 9 and 12. So this one vaccination prevents 6 types of cancer. So it's very important, and it's easy. $250,000. You can do that too. $250.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm rolling with it.
So imagine how many people you can have with that one. And back to the one we talked about a lot today is the $100 contribution for screenings. It's very important. You just mentioned it.
Yes.
I mean, we've mentioned it so much. It's the simplest way to prevent yourself and your loved ones for enduring a serious.
It's the number
cancer
one
diagnosis.
way of the earlier the better.
Earlier
the better when detecting cancer. The earlier the better. It's a necessary thing that you just have to do when you're at the age for whether it be breast or prostate or colon. Get your screenings. Yes. Because the earlier the better.
Yeah, earlier the better. And it's a great place to jump off. And I want to thank everyone who've clicked those buttons, went to the website, and continue to donate. We are so honored with your presence today and your contributions. And I want to go back before we close. I think Peggy and Brian want to have a few words.
I
right?
think that they have a give back to the ACS they want to tell us about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. We just had such a wonderful time with you tonight as we look at the sun setting in Santa Barbara. Talk about the perfect, green screen background. I'm just thrilled to be here. We really would love to help ACS, raise more money and give back anything we can. Some of the stories here have been so heartfelt and inspiring and touching. We'd love to end on a positive note and maybe even a funny note. So if you'd like to learn more about wine, we'd love to help, build a friendship with you and a relationship and help you do that. And if you want to taste some more of the wines, the great wines in the Boise Collection, maybe you're thirsty for more. And this is our absolute favorite movie. I have to tell you, I've seen it 20 times and it never gets old. And here we are in beautiful Santa Barbara. Had to bring this up. We'd love to serve you if you're a wine lover, and to thank you for your purchase of the wine flight to join us today. You get a $20 credit in wine from the Boise Collection, and Peggy will be reaching out to you by email to give you the promo code. And hey, that's like a nice bottle of wine. All of the wine purchases, the wine flights that were purchased for this event, any subsequent purchases that you would like to make through us, through our personal website, we're going to give back 35% of the proceeds to ACS. It's just our way of helping out more, and we're thrilled to do it. We're in the holiday season and we have a lovely gift gallery. So if you have a wine loving friend or relative and you would love to send them a wine gift, we have gorgeous wine gift sets. We have wine
and 2-day shipping in California. So procrastinators, we can help you out.
Absolutely. Actually, we do have a Golden State overnight option.
Yeah,
if I get your order in by 10 a.m. on Monday, you'll have it Tuesday. So just gorgeous wine gift sets, wine inspired jewelry, as you can see here. We have brooches and necklaces and cuffs. And we also have jeweled, obviously the sheriff, but we also have, leopard prints and beautiful pattern bottles. And this is a really cool one. It's the Frenchie Royale blend, red blend. And it comes with this gorgeous French bulldog, 3-dimensional right on the bottle. You can visit our wine shop. I'm going to put this web address in the chat box right now. You could browse our wine selections in our store and see if anything inspires you, or just reach out to Peggy and I after she emails you. We'd be happy to serve you. I mean, if you're going to drink wine and you love to drink wine regularly, with every sip, you can give back to the American Cancer Society.
Yes,
through purchases.
and rumor has it a sparkling wine sale is kicking off early tomorrow morning, just in time for New Year's Eve. And you had the LVE sparkling wine tonight. We have champagnes, we have all kinds of sparkling wines. So something to think about. If you did already order your wine, you'll get an email about that. So
thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank
from
you.
the bottom of our hearts. We're thrilled to be here. And I just want to stop the share. And Peggy wanted to acknowledge somebody who's joined us today.
Yes, so my parents are on from Philadelphia. Gerald Kearns is the name on their account, but it's Margie and Gerald Kearns. And my mom was a nurse at a cancer hospital and a nurse administrator for many, many years, Fox Chase Cancer Center in Philadelphia. So she's been a caregiver and supporter of our cause. And I don't know, do you want to say anything, Mom? Am I putting you on the spot? If so, you can unmute and say something.
Hi. Yes, all this talk about, cancer care and having worked there as a nurse and then as a manager, I have to say the strongest people there were the patients. We got all our strength from the patients. And I've been retired 8 years, still brings feelings to me. When I first started out and I was in nursing school, I did nursing assistant on an oncology floor at a different hospital. And I didn't know how I was going to manage when I would hear the report of the patient's conditions. You walked in the room, they were a joy to care for. So positive, so caring, so loving. And like I say, and just not myself feels that way. Everybody that works with cancer patients knows that that's where you get your strength from watching them. So this is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
And I ask a technical question to get to the toast to cancer or to wine. What's the website? How do I?
Toast to Hope. I'll help you out, Dad. I'll call you after.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I had to do it. While I'm like the host's father.
Yes, Brian. No worries, we'll help you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Mom.
Toast2hope.com. And thank you, Margie. That was lovely to hear from you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Joe and Brian, do you want to?
Yeah, we're here. I really want to thank your parents for the stories. And I really want to thank you for all that you've done to help us bring in a toast to hope this year. I mean, it was our theme that we came up with and imagined, and you helped us put it all together. So we really do want to thank you. We also would like to thank everybody that was able to donate. First of all, join us today and then donate during our paddle raise. If you missed participating in the live auction, do not worry. You have until 5 p.m. So you have about 15 more minutes to get your final bids in. And I know as soon as this is over, I'm racing off to get my final bids in and I'll beat bids you guys. So go in and donate now. Donation amounts can be customized at any level or bid on your favorite auction item. I'm sure you're getting emails telling you how you're outbid by somebody else. So remember, the silent auction closes at 5 p.m. And during our paddle raise, we tried to take a look at the chat and see what was coming in. And so we really want to call you out and say thank you personally. Elaine and Al, thank you for your $1,000. Michelle, thank you for the $200. Carly, thank you for your $100 donation, which supports cancer screening. Scott, thank you for the $75. Ashley, $50. Gerald, $50, and Elizabeth, $50. Thank you so very much for your donations today.
Yeah, and I've got a list of more I want to thank. I just want to thank Bruce Edwards, $500 donation. Alexandria Sanchez, $50 donation. Carol for $200. Carla for $250. Sue and Jeff Miller for $1,000. Thank you so much. Sherry for $100. Dan gave $40. Karina $100. Nancy 25, and William Berkeley at 200. We really appreciate all that you are contributing. Keep it going. Bid on your favorite auction items. toasttohope.com. Go to the auction items. Bid on your favorite items. We really want to thank you for your participation today.
So again, thank you to all of our sponsors, our presenting sponsor, Agilent Technologies, our community sponsors, Community West Bank, and Lash Construction, and our in-kind media sponsor, Xperia Creative. Thank you for all that you do and help to make this virtual event possible. I want to thank you, Brian, for coming on here and being a clown with me and drinking wine and having fun. And thank all of you for listening to our pointless banter back and forth as we tried to get you to donate to the American Cancer Society, which we think is so important. So a special thanks as the co-chair of this year's Toast to Hope event. I personally want to thank everybody, including my other co-chair, Elaine Christ. I want to thank committee members, Denise Sanford, Lisa Morris, Kathy Maeda, John and Wendy Church, Sue Miller, Greg Russo, Claudia Lash. And also thanks to Heidi from the American Cancer Society, Heidi Gavlik from the American Cancer Society for your support. It is a small group of community, small community of people, small group of people who put this together. And I have to tell you, we are not professionals at Zoom. We are not professionals at any of this. And we did 100% of this by Zoom in order to protect everybody and stay safe. And this has been a challenge, but a fun challenge that we all accepted. So thank you. A special thank you to all of our speakers who bravely shared their stories with us and reminded us of why it is so important to support the American Cancer Society.
Well, thank you, Joe. And extra kudos for the wizards behind the curtain. Greg Russo, who's been running the production. Aaron Leahy, who you don't see, is literally holding up cue cards for us on the other side. Thank you, everyone. The auction is open for another 10 minutes. It is your contributions, your support, and your meaningful efforts to help us to envision a world without cancer. So please hit those buttons, make your contributions, and make a difference in saving lives. So thank you very much from myself, Joe.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. And cheers. Toast to hope. Remember, toast to hope. My wine glass is
That's
empty.
it. We need to
Mine
refill
is
the
empty.
glasses.
We need to refill. All right.
Toast to everyone.
We're out. Thank you, everybody.